it's not in the right shape to analyze, if you can't trust that data, then you can't use a lot of the tools that we have. You might not even get started on your analytical journey. And so if you want to build a viz, use Ask Data, use Explain Data. We're trying to help people get that data in a shape and be able to combine that so they can jump into that. And what's pushed us in this direction, the second thing is the two trends that we see in the industry. So one is we see a change in data. So the first change we see in data is there is more and more and more data, but that's not really new. Like that's been a trend that's been happening in the industry for more than a decade. We are seeing more diverse data, but traditionally we've talked about this like it's JSON or XML or things along those lines. But what we keep hearing from customers in particular is there's enterprise data, there's departmental data, there's team data, and there's personal data. And those last three tend to not always be managed. They're not always part of that data management solution. So there's a lot of data that I need to answer questions to be able to make progress in my business that just doesn't get to be part of that data management strategy. And then third, as there's more proliferation of applications, there's not as much centralization. So how do we help people get to the data they need, even though it may not be centralized? So a lot of customers are saying they're not trying to put it all in one data warehouse or in one data lake. They might have multiple, they might go directly to source systems. And a lot of that is also driven by the fact that they don't know what data is valuable until they try to do something with it. So that's the change in data. The second thing we see is a change in people. So with more self-service analytical tools, we see people who traditionally haven't been doing analytics are now doing analytics. And second, it's also just expected. So I'm gonna have to do analysis to be able to do my job. So even if it's not part of an enterprise data management strategy, I'm gonna find a way to go ahead and prepare that data, whether it be data that's been prepared for me by IT, or whether I'm using a data prep tool, or whether I have to pull the data out and use Excel. So this is the second thing we see. And bridging this divide is where we see the real problem, is we see people just trying to get their job done. They may create duplicate data sets, subsets of data sets. They might follow rules that nobody else is following, just because, again, they're trying to get their job done. I've been seeing multiple data sets, and I don't know which one to trust. So I'm not sure which data I should or shouldn't be using. And if I'm trying to manage compliance, or I'm worrying about sensitive data being exposed, you might start shutting data down, which just sort of makes this problem even more tense. So what we're trying to do is create a convergence around a set of capabilities out in the industry today. So one, we see people with data cataloging solutions. So I'm trying to do things like understand where my data came from. I'm trying to discover new data sets and figure out what I should trust. Second, we see lots of data preparation solutions on the market. Where I'm just going to clean and combine and get my data ready for analysis. Third, I'm trying to figure out if the data sets I have are part of some sort of, is this the right data set I should be using? Is this conform to the definition of what product means within my company? Then fourth, I've got an analytical system where I'm going to go and use Tableau to do analysis. And third, then I have to manage access to all of that. And the problem is I have 5 different systems to complete one flow. So there's a little bit of cataloging, a little bit of prep, a little bit of analysis, a little bit of access management. And what we're trying to do is converge this into how do we help enable more self-service analytics by enabling more self-service data management. So how do we bring the capabilities that are important for cataloging to the end user, so that someone who is building a report, building a viz, understands whether their data is trustworthy or not, or which data set they should trust. Or if they're trying to prepare the data, it's integrated with that cataloging solution already. So our focus is really trying to help people govern, discover, trust, and operationalize their data pipeline. Really trying to make sure that they first have visibility that their whole environment, so that's some of the lineage things you may have seen yesterday as part of the Vision keynote. Trying to help discover what data is available. I may not know if I have multiple databases within my environment. Just trying to find the right table to use can be a difficult task. And then once I've done something like prepared my data, making sure that data stays fresh and up to date. All right, so let me jump into like the core products that are on the market today to help realize this. So first is Tableau Prep Builder. So this was released last year. This is our solution for cleaning and combining data. Second is what we call Prep Conductor. This is an add-on to Tableau Server, and this is about operationalizing data. So this is being able to schedule flows, and it's really about trying to take more of the capabilities that traditionally, alerting and connection management was often sent to a server administrator. How do we pull more of that to an end user so they can self-serve? And then third, released about 2 months ago, is Tableau Catalog, again integrated with the Tableau Server, and it's about discovery, trust, and governance. So specifically on Tableau Prep Builder, there's sort of 3 main pillars to Prep Builder. It's visual and direct, because we say, hey, if we want analysts to be able to prepare data, they have to be able to see that data, they have to be able to interact with that data, be able to build an intuition for, did I get the results that I actually wanted? So you'll see things like our 3D coordinated pane experience, where I say, hey, I've got a flow pane at the top. That flow pane helps me understand I'm doing more than just simple row-level calculations. I'm combining or reshaping, pivoting, aggregating data. So that's what our sort of bird's eye view at the top is. In the middle is what we call the profile pane. That profile pane are just distributions of all of those data values. And if I want to understand my data, I can just select a value and I get proportional brushing. So I can start to understand relationships among those fields. And at the bottom, you can always see two rows here. But the bottom what we call the data grid view. So this is that sort of like spreadsheet-like view of your data. And all of these panes are coordinated. So as I'm cleaning data, I see the profile pane update, I see the data grid update. So second is what we call smart, or how we save you time. Our position around smart is really to be able to do 2 things. How do you work faster by saving time, and how do we help you express yourself a little bit better? So there's a couple things that we do. One is SQL pushdown. So what we say is we just want you to focus on preparing your data, get it in the right shape. And if you're connected to a fast database, we can push a lot of those SQL operations down to that database. If I'm connected to SQL Server or Oracle or Snowflake, I can push a lot of those operations down to that remote database. If I'm connected to files and lots of different databases, we try to push everything we can down, and then we'll federate in something like our Hyper Engine, for example. We've had a lot of customers say to us, let me try this out, and then let me compare it to the SQL that I write. And the feedback we've gotten from a number of people is, you guys are writing pretty similar to what I would have written. Second, we do things like fuzzy grouping. So if people want to standardize a set of values, we support things like common characters, common spelling, English pronunciation. And then what's important to us with the smart capabilities, if you're grouping data together, is that you as the end user are always in control. So the algorithm is never going to be perfect in a lot of these cases. What we will help get you started. You can always override those values. And then third, we also have recommendations for cleaning and reshaping that data to help get that in the right shape for analysis. Last is integrated with Tableau. So we connect over 50 data sources. We also want to make sure that if you are using Tableau Prep, it's not like you have to learn another tool. So if you know how to write calcs in Tableau, you know how to write calcs in Tableau Prep. You know how to connect to data in Tableau, you know how to connect to data in Tableau Prep. And we're opinionated around getting your data ready for analysis, so we make it easy to publish data sources and get that data out on the Tableau server. So one of the customers that has been really happy with Tableau Prep has been Freddie Mac. They took basically a 45-day manual process that they did and shifted it all into Prep. And it was a non-trivial flow they put together. It was about 16 different joins and over 14 unions and a number of aggregates. We're able to put that together and automate it, and now the whole thing runs in about 5 minutes. So they've been going through using Prep more and more to automate a number of processes. They were either manual or in other applications. Okay, so the first problem, which I just talked about, that we try to solve in Prep Builder is how do I get my data in the right shape for analysis? The second is how do I keep that up to date? because data changes, there are unexpected things that might happen. So what do we do? So first, with Prep Conductor, again, it's an add-on to Tableau Server. I can publish the flow file itself, so the instructions for actually running that prep job. I can publish that out to server, and it looks like any other piece of content, whether it's a data source or a viz. I can permission it and treat it like anything else. I can put it in a folder. Second, we're trying to create more visibility to that pipeline to everyone in the Tableau environment. So if I want to know if a flow ran, I don't have to go find a viz, or I don't have to talk to an admin. I can see this viz was populated by this flow, and this is when it ran, and how long it took, whether it's still running. Again, trying to create more transparency. And again, it's all been part of Tableau Server. So there's nothing new to set up, nothing new to manage. It's all part of the current server. Tableau Catalog then is really about trying to understand the data in your environment. And the reason we put these together is a lot of people would say, hey, I want to embrace self-service. I like where you're going in terms of trying to push more information to the analysts so they can self-serve. But I need to know that as this happens, I can see what's happening in the environment, I can respond to things. So I'll give you an example. We have a lot of customers that say, I've embraced self-service analytics, but if I want to drop a column, if I want to change the table, I don't know what I'm going to break. I have to look through a lot of the content, might have to email a lot of people, try to talk to the right person to find out what it is in my environment I can change. And what we're trying to do is make the experience of interacting with your content in Catalog visual, just like a viz is visual. So I can see, for example, this is looking at a table. It shows you all the columns. It shows you how many sheets are using it, how many workbooks are using it. You can also see how many data sources are using it. So someone can open it up and say, no one's using this column or these sets of columns. I can drop them. Or this column's used by 5 data sources. I'm going to email those people and ask them to change it. The next thing we focus on then is trust. So I've got a lot of data sets that are in my environment. How do I know what I should trust and what I shouldn't trust? So we have 2 concepts. One of them is certification. I can certify a database. This is a trusted database. I can certify a table. This is a good table you should use. I can also certify flows. On the other hand, there are times that when that data shouldn't be trusted. Maybe an ETL job's running behind. Maybe a table's under maintenance. Maybe there's a table that you found that someone's using that just has suspect data and it shouldn't be used. So we have this concept called data quality warnings that say, hey, right now you may not want to use this. And we can help you add things like if the data's stale, whether it's being deprecated, whether there are other questionable problems with the data. And the important thing is, it doesn't just live in the catalog. So I can put that on a database, I can put that on a table, and an end user that opens up a viz that's connected to that table gets that same warning right away. So we're trying to close the loop between someone who's looking at a viz, who may know nothing about the data warehouse, may know nothing about an operational system, but they still get that feedback. So they're in control of whether they want to use it. And then third, we're trying to help people get into analysis faster. So because it's an integrated solution, I can open up Tableau Desktop, and now not only can I search for data sources, I can search for tables, or I can search for databases. So I don't have to really care about what database something is coming from. I just want to look for what table it is it certified, is it trusted, are other people using it, and then I can go ahead and jump into analysis. And so that's a big part of what our catalog is. Lake County Health Department was one of the early adopters of both Prep Conductor and Tableau Catalog. And one of the main things, benefits they're seeing is they're moving more of the work to the analysts. And have had a lot of success being able to move, to have their analysts do more of the prep for building dashboards. They're actually giving a talk here this week. All right, next, in terms of future directions. So today, Prep Builder is